Welcome to Authentic Space with Kasha and Chloe, who live their lives unapologetically.
Even do things in life that we're meant to be doing, right? So now I'm kind of focusing a little bit more on a purpose thing where, sometimes we work these jobs and it's oh, it pays the bills or something. But, deep down in there, we're but that's not what I'm meant to be doing. One day I'll quit and I'll start my business or something, right?
One day
I'll do this or I'll do that. So, the experiences are beautiful and traveling and all of that. It's also kind of the same thing, the same story, but even the bigger things in life, right? I always dreamt of, I don't know, a house somewhere, or something. But we just never really get the chance to do it because we're just stuck living a life that it kind of pays the bills or something, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I think sometimes it's just hard to have the courage to do that.
Takes a lot of courage.
It takes a lot of courage. It takes balls, man. I mean, it's just but hopefully
a lot of risks, a lot of courage, a lot of strength.
Hopefully we're learning that. And it's funny because I have this conversation with people that are not in my circle where I work. People here, for example, that just had a conversation the other night. We met my sister's new boyfriend, and we were just he was okay, but what do you guys do? Or even we went out for with friends and stuff, and this guy we met, new guy, whatever. He's yeah, but what's that you do? And it's hard for people still, even after a year and a half or more, whatever, of lockdown, to understand that we don't have physical offices, that I can just literally transport my computer anywhere in the world I want, roughly, and just do stuff from wherever I am, be it a beach or a bar, a cafe in the middle of the mountains or whatever, as long as I have an internet connection.
And I don't think it's only in Italy. I think that's why the digital nomad community and stuff, it's been growing, but 10, 20 years ago, I mean, you barely heard of people like that,
Yeah.
Obviously, every few years, there's more and more kind of people realizing, and especially if you're in the knowledge and I guess I want to call it knowledge industry, right? So where you use technology and all that stuff, there's so many resources for us to be able to work from home.
Yeah. Or anywhere in the world, really.
Yeah, or anywhere in the world. And that's why the whole digital nomad, though, you kind of see those pictures, right? Like a laptop on the beach somewhere, like a surf bar or something, right? And kind of living the dream. But I mean, I've done that life, for a year, and it's just it's doable. Obviously, I don't think it's in every industry. There's still some kind of physical working environments where you still have to physically go there.
You cannot go 100% like that.
Absolutely, but the knowledge industries, and we have the technology to use, and again, I'm going to reference back to I did the whole nomad thing before COVID. And back then, even traveling around the world, it was just so difficult for a lot of people to grasp the idea of I heard of digital nomads, but it's but really, what do you do, right? Type of thing.
But what do you do? Yeah, you get paid to do that, really?
Exactly. Can you do that? Yeah, and it's I remember the first time, and we're going back to 2012, 2013 when I started my consulting business. I remember my parents would be but how do you make money when you're home? It's almost they couldn't grasp the concept. And I remember them asking me, it's do you need money? I'm no, I work. I make more money than I used to, doing consulting than I used to in the corporate world. And they would be but you're home. who pays you to be home? And it's like, I actually work when I'm home. It's not that I'm home and I watch Netflix, like, and they're like, really?
No, exactly.
How does that work exactly? So the whole grasping that concept it's just been very strange. It still is. But I do have to say, like, I always had this, and, I started my consulting business because I always had this dream of like, plus I'm also an introvert, so it's like I'm good with time management and all that stuff. Like, I'm able to get myself together and work from my laptop, and like, I enjoy being home. I enjoy kind of that environment. And
Yeah, indeed.
and I always said this, like, why can't people or more corporations who do have the technology to allow employees to work from home, why do they imprison them, saying that you have to be there from 9 to 5? Like, it's just like, to me, it was prison.
Because it doesn't make much sense, really. This last year has shown us this,
right.
Exactly as you said. Not every industry.
I'm gonna tackle back again to, like, thankfully to COVID, a lot of companies started realizing, because everything, like you said, overnight changed. And all of a sudden, like, anyone who had a corporate job, and again, a laptop or whatever, they literally, within a week or a couple of weeks, they were able to work from home, all of them.
Yeah.
And it was doable, right?
Yeah. Imagine, like, for me, this was revolutionary to a certain extent, because at a certain point, people are giving a freedom that they did not think they could have. So you're still having people that are just like, no, fuck that. I want to go back to work. I need the structure, whatever, because we're not all made to be entrepreneurs. We're not all made to be freelancers.
Absolutely.
We're not all made to be working from home, etc. A lot of people do not also have the right conditions at home. Like, we are lucky, but we don't usually have, there are people with families and stuff, and that just live in a like 70 square meter apartment, and they have their wife or husband, whatever, their partners, they work at the same time, they have like 3 children that are not going to school because they're locked in or whatever. It's not, I get it, it's not for everyone, but I think that a lot of people, there's like a lot of people that are just like, fuck that, I'm not going back to the office, this is the new me. And companies, what can they say? Because you could just tell them, like, well, I'm showing you that I can be 5 days working 5 days a week at home, and I'm producing, I'm being effective, I'm being productive, etc. Like, so you can't force me to get back. But then you've got that category of people where it's like, you know what, like, I'm okay with going to the office, like,
there's those
2-3 times a week, because it's just, so a lot of companies are actually getting into the whole like shifting offices, where it's like, you have a first shift people going in for 2 days and the other people going out for 2 days, like, not at the same time.
Yeah, so they're actually, in the US, they're calling it more of like a hybrid mindset, environment, where you get to choose what you want to do. And so some people work from home, some people are in the office, and or you can kind of do back and forth. It's actually amazing, but I do have to say that, like, COVID kind of showed us that it's doable. And again, it's not for everyone. It's there's certain people that, not everyone in the world is meant to own a business. Not everyone in the world is meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone wants that. Not everyone is meant to be that way. And just like I was struggling in an office environment and a 9-to-5 job, someone might be struggling being an entrepreneur. And again, we have to kind of choose and pick who we are, what we are all about, and what we love, and the environments that we want to be in,
But especially because there are a lot of studies that show, especially in Scandinavian countries, where they're actually trying that, where they see that shorter working weeks are much more
productive,
efficient, and productive. To me, it's because it's a mindset that is completely different. It's not that I live to work, right? It's the other way around. I work to live.
Absolutely.
So I work X amount of hours, to get X quantity of money that then allows me to pay for X amount of freedom, X amount of activities, X amount of traveling. And not every, I just had this conversation with my mom the other day where I'm like, Mom, for us, it's crazy. I know, because you coming from a different generation from mine, where you basically get married to your job. Like, our parents are in their jobs for all their life. My mom has been working there for like 36 years.
Absolutely.
From the same employer. Like, me thinking of working for one client for 36 years, I will shoot myself in the head.
Yeah.
We are completely different. We were having this conversation because of my sister's work, whatever. And I'm like, Mom, I mean, she's not going to be working there for the rest of her days. Okay, maybe she will, but I don't think so, because it's almost like our generation.
Because she's a different generation. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. We have seen and we see that work can adapt to us, and we don't necessarily have to be adapting to the work. Meaning, I know that I have a specific skill set. I know that I have specific talents. I know that I can do this, I can do that. And if I'm not appreciated where I am, like, forget about even being a freelancer. Just think of people that are still like interested in working a 9-to-5 job because that's what they want. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. I have nothing against that. But because we're not all the same. We're not all creatives, we're not all entrepreneurs, as you said. There are a lot of people that think, I want a 9-to-5 because when I'm out, I don't want to think about it.
Not everyone is a leader, right? Some people is a follower, and some people, they prefer to be in that role, right?
And that's just fine. And some people just want to be told what they need to do, and then just get out and then go on with their lives and concentrate on doing sports and travel and this and that. So we're all different. But I think that we are at the point where, if we are not, let's say, if the employers or the company we work for does not understand our talent or our skill sets, and they just kind of like treat us
and also they don't give us the freedom to actually explore it within your role, right? Or
exactly
explore it and be able to move around if there's a need. Yeah. So really that kind of creative spirit environment. If
I feel that our generation, the generations after us, are way more prone to that. And they're like, there's like, it's kind of like a bit of a negative thing, but that has a positive thing inside. Even with my mom, we were talking about loyalty. Mm-hmm. She's like, I've been loyal to this company for 36 years. And they still have not been able to make your skill set and talents flourish to the maximum potential.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
they didn't give you the space to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what happened to me when I was working in an international organization for like almost 4 years. At a certain point, I can tell you 4 years, like 2 years in, I can do my job blindfolded, without to me, that's like, but I'm not growing anymore.
Absolutely.
Do I want to do this for the rest of my life? Fuck no.
Right. And then you have to ask, right? There's all these studies about people who are like on their deathbed saying, what was the one thing that you would change, or what was your regret, or whatever the questions were. But they all said, like, the fact that you were loyal to a company means is the last thing on your mind on your deathbed. And everyone says it's the experiences. It's the fact that I lived my life to the fullest. It's the fact that I've grown so much.
But I'm positive that this is a huge change in our own, with all the nomads that you're talking about and stuff. The big change, Absolutely. That's a big change. Huh?
Plus, when we talk about loyalty, the thing is that, like, in loyalty to something, or, that's a very external thing. What we have to do is be loyal to ourselves, to our passions, to the things that motivate me and want me to get up every morning. That's what we need to be loyal to.
Yeah, but we're not brought up like that. We always go back to the same idea that we are brought up at least. And I feel like us as parents will not bring up our children up with the same idea, but me, you, etc., we are rebelling against the idea that we have to be loyal to just one employer, to one company, to whatever. But we are we are kind of seeing the light, right? Well, we've seen the light, and we are the generations that are transitioning towards a world where I don't need to be loyal to a company that doesn't know how to take advantage properly and rewards me for my talents.
It's funny how like all generations use the same verbiage, the same words, or like we say loyal, right? It's all the same meaning. But again, the younger generations, the focus is on us, and not in a narcissistic way, but more of like, if I can focus on bettering myself, I do so much better for the rest of the world and the humanity. And versus kind of the older generations, it was all about kind of, like the older generations, like even if we look at our parents, right? Like, on the one hand, I get where they're coming from. Like, they were even born in countries. We didn't have European Union. We didn't have open borders.
No.
You couldn't just like get up and go and it's like, oh, I'm going to find a job in, the UK, and all of a sudden you move to the UK, or, all of a sudden we're going to move to, the US or whatever. Like that was their generation. They were very materialistic based, the safety, the security that was really engraved in them, and really passed down from their, mothers, fathers, generations, ancestries. And it's almost like, and I mean, that's how ancestry is, right? Or works. The fact that like they just keep on passing down the same kind of what they feel values are to them. And we as younger generations are meant to rebel against it. Like we are meant to rebel against older generations and all that stuff. And then the other thing is, again, we're meant to do that because like our human role and mission is really to evolve, right? So it's not that you're doing this with like a bad connotation, but it's just like we are meant to evolve as human beings, as the humanity, as an individual soul, as everything.
For sure, yeah.
But it's also, I also found it funny when usually when you see kind of people complaining, all these younger generations, all they see is bad about them, right? And they're so annoying and they're this. But it's funny, who always says this? It's always the older generations.
No, yeah. Of course, indeed, of course. We do the same with Gen Z.
Absolutely. We're like, oh my gosh, they're so annoying, they're this, they're that, right?
Oh my God, these TikTokers.
Exactly. But it's like, it's so funny how we're still rebelling against, our parents' generations, but then, they're even rebelling even more, which is like, it's a funny circle that keeps on going and going.
We can agree that Gen Z, for example, is Gen Z because of us being a transition. We are a transition generation, right? Because we are brought up with the experience and the all these messages and these beliefs from our parents.
We are the transition into the technology world and the knowledge and the intellectual kind of Aquarius era that we are stepping into. Actually, we're in the beginning stages already. We've been in the beginning stages already. But no, absolutely, because it's that evolution, and it's just like, that's why we have generations, is that there's a reason why like every 20 years or so there's like, you even look at like, all of a sudden everything, we pay is electronic. It used to just be paper money or something, or it used to be like, not even, it used to just be an exchange of goods or whatever. It's just like, that's why generations have been invented to show how much we are evolving as a humanity.
And I think it's like, for me, it's so exciting to get to that point in my life where I actually see this. And this comes out every time I talk about it. And like, even the other day when I was talking to my mom about it, and I'm like, Mom, like, this is the future. I mean, we are a generation that is much more self-oriented, I want to say, because I feel like it's like, because for me at least, because I have seen what being loyal to the same company and just working just towards safety and financial safety, etc., has brought your generation to. Like, yes, you can today you can go and just buy a car and you have the money to do it because you've got savings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that obviously, I mean, I don't, for example, like, and it's something that worries me, of course. But like, if I don't know, like, to me it's like, if I had to, it's what you would give up for it, right? So of course I want to have more savings, of course I'm trying to work towards that more. And but if you ask me, would you like to have savings and be able to like buy a car if one breaks from one day to night or something, or rather have the freedom to do whatever you want and get paid for what you're good at? I'm sorry, but for me that's not, it's not even, it's a no-brainer. Like, it's like, sure, whatever, I have no savings, but I'm fucking happy with my life. I love what I'm doing. I love my clients. I love the work I'm doing. I love all the stuff that I'm putting out in the world.
And you wouldn't change that for, for more, for a house with 60 rooms and all that stuff, right? Just because.
No, exactly. And I mean, I want to.
Different things matter in life.
Exactly. There's just a different thing. Well, for them, it's like, you get married, you have kids, you have a job, you hold it down as long as you can, because that's the only thing that will give you money.
Yeah, and
wrong.
Yeah, and then don't. Yeah,
that's not true.
Work hard, and then
that's not true.
Zip your mouth. Don't say a word, and just kind of just.
And for me, that's just like, all those like little revelations that you have. I've always known that I was a creative.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I was a child and when I was in elementary school or whatever, I would like doodle, and I would draw, and I would do this and I would do that. It's always been there. It's just that I was brought up with the idea that would not give me money.
Yeah.
But then in my almost 30s, I find out that there are bloody freaking amazing artists all over the world that get paid thousands of dollars to do murals and to draw and to use paint and to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, and they get paid like, big bucks too.
Yeah, and why? And I'm like looking around, I'm like, what the I've been doing this since I was 6 years old. Since like I know how to read since I was like 5. Like,
and I remember also, like, back when I was in college, I remember there were like all these, like, every year, like, that was when I was doing my bachelor's degree, which was, like, at that point in time, like, every year I remember observing, right? Because I was like, I myself was struggling. It's like, oh, what am I going to study? Or, but it's like, because again, the programming was, look where the jobs will be, look where you'll be able to make money, right? Like, I started studying, like, I went to school for interior design, and very quickly I changed it because I was told that you're never going to get money in interior design. So I had to switch, and I had to move towards the corporate world, because it's like, that's where the jobs
are.
Look
at where we are now.
And
look at where we
and
are
then
now.
5 years ago, like, I left the corporate world because I was like, shoot me, like, I'm like complete burnout. I was like, this is not in alignment with who I am. Whatsoever. And it's like, and I've never been happier, right? But like, going back to like when I was in college, I remember like everyone, you would meet with your career counselors or what have you, and they would always say, like, oh, everyone is going the direction, there's all these jobs, and as a doctor or as a lawyer, or there's all these jobs as back then it was, I don't know, philosophy teaching, right? But 5 years after me, they were all saying, oh, now the big thing is, going for music or going for whatever. But I remember, like, but it's funny how, like, they would all push you towards a certain career. But now when I'm like, and, I'm in the US, so like I look around the US and I'm like, there's way too many doctors. There's way too many lawyers. There's way too many teachers. There's way too much of everything, right? So it's like, we only have so many careers that we can put like 8 billion of people into this hall of like a career. At some point, there's going to be way too many of us in everything.
Yeah.
We all have unique skills. We all have like unique talents. And when you're kind of following just who you are, there's no competition. There's no interviews where you have a job and there's 150 applicants and they don't know who to pick from because, wow, they have all these, educational degrees and this experience, and then they speak amazing and they have all these extracurricular activities. It's not a world of competition anymore.
No,
it becomes a world of uniqueness and unique talent, a pool of unique talents.
And we're all different people. I mean, it's like, even if there are so many people doing this job or whatever, we all are different people, and so we all bring something completely different to the table, right? Because we are unique. We are
Absolutely.
unique. We are a selection of stars from the universe, that is irreparable. There's only one of you in the world, and there will always be one of you.
Absolutely. And there's never going to be a repeat. And I it was so interesting how, like, in companies, they would always say, oh, you're always replaceable. Actually, not really.
No, not really. Not really.
If you are a follower and just kind of sticking to basically living that autopilot life, wherever life leads you or the programming leads you, then sure, you will always be replaced because you're not really living your true authentic self.
Of course.
Then again, but again, that goes back to the competition. That's where competition exists. That's where you look at the other person's like, oh, they have this. Now I gotta take another program or something because I gotta be at this level, or this is the requirement. And no, you should be going to school if you want to, if you're choosing to, if you feel like it's gonna better you. Not because you have to, or some job description said that you have to.
Exactly. No, I mean, this is great. I feel we might be getting to the right direction, and I love that we kind of open up. Let's say, I love that we are the generation that opens that up.
Yeah,
I really like that. I feel that role very much, and I love that. It's great.
And I think we should all be proud to be rebels and trying to change the path that that hasn't been made in the past. And it takes a lot of courage, but someone needs to do it.
But yes, indeed, we are. I feel like we are pioneers a bit in this because...
Oh, yes. Pioneers, visionaries, alchemists. Yeah, absolutely.
Stay tuned for more and join our community at AuthenticSpacePodcast.com and on Instagram at AuthenticSpacePodcast.